Mochefa.
Oh, okay. Ede me fa kunya iso ada wasena ma chete fo nyina na nche mpo edi kan koma yera Otumfo na Osei Tutu. And mpeni for Lands Commission nyina nso. Question wabusa no edi mu ye pa. Na dwumade bia na se dwumakuo bia ansa na ubedi ujuma na hu behia se ubenya mrapon bia eta wachi doma udi ujuma. Na de ewom ne se Lands Commission aban foku a yen dwumadie no hwe yen mrapon a yedi bu oman yi 1992 constitution hwe article 258 clause 1 na Osei there shall be established a Lands Commission which shall in coordination with the relevant public agencies and government bodies perform certain functions. Inti
nature say constitution ni mu asem na
mrapono eta yechi and establish the Lands Commission.
Okay.
Now if you know there are some other can say mra ewo hono mu a ebo yechi ebi ne Lands Commission at 2008 at 767 and afi so Lands at 2020 at 1036 and ne mra ewo hono mu a ebo yechi don pa as a commission ma yedi adwuma sene sena efata.
Okay. Yebeda wase ewo nchiremu a odi amaye efa Lands Commission mudwumadie ene mra etamochi na chese nne no yehu se Lands Commission enye sebi womo epe ena womo ede wo ho na chese aban ensa ehya ase a chese constitution na nkasa mu Ghana ha ye mra kuni no eno ena eboama Lands Commission womo nso dwumadie no edimu enye no nko chese emra ahodo bi ti say the Lands Commission Act 2008 and the Lands Act 1036 and also edimu eboama Lands Commission wo mu dwumadie no enso edimu pa na Senior Ransford me bisa se makoye Lands Commission mo am kan say asante mantem ha sei Lands Commission mo na mo di dwuma wo ho enti am kan say ensase ensem bia wo asante mantem ha de mu fa kase na no mo ho na ewo na mepene mebisa se ye ka asante mantem ha sei mo lantania system lantania system ichiremu a enipa ne asase enkita hodie ene okwan a nipa efaso nya tumi wo asase so no eno nso adaroma obetimi ama ye nchiremu na meneme manfo nso yenya ntiase wo ho.
Okay, we dey medase pa oba ya sante mantem wo yenkomo dey me limited to ya sante mantem wo asane tiefo benya a better appreciation of yenkomo no oba sante mantem ha ye wo fa ne se niema miensa ya yehwe baako ene customary land ownership no.
Okay.
We were public and as state lands and ye were vested lands.
Okay.
Nti uba ya santima mu ha pa dia. Nyema miensan pa na edi akotini ye pa ewo ya santima ntemu ha. Na obi bebusa se na customary ne kra no ye den. Basically ye kan customary na no na ye nananom ye ahemfo no. Ekrom. Those are the land ownership ahemfo no ekrom. Eba public land and as state lands na so and no ye Lands Commission ye juma ye di on behalf of the government and above vested no so vested no a split interest.
Okay.
Buying kakra buying manage on behalf of this you can say cost you can say tools no.
Okay.
Nti eno ne niema miensa ye hwe ni teacher pa wo ya santimantem wa.
Okay, ye beda wase na che say asantimantem ha no yensas no uchiremu a ebeya ahodo miensa vested state lands and customary lands and okay yebeda wase pa na last week no am say surveyor eniam mo kirechire kwan a obefa so na ope stool lands a kwan papa obefa so na onsa kan stool lands no mo kirechire eba state lands nso eno nso wadaroma ho asem tesen kwan ben na se obi any state lands ona so obi ehu state land bi na se opese odidi ni dwuma eno nso wadaroma kwan ben ana se na onfa so said the bear no so bit me answer aka state lands no de di ne dwuma.
Okay, yeah, that's a part. Eti ye hwe state lands no se ne edin ankasa etie na ye twi kasa ye kasa aban mu nsase we papa bi obetra menim na no o se me pa aban mu nsase ne bi aban mu nsase dwumadie no unlike ye can sense two lands na you go through process of allocation notes nene the account when it comes to state lands peculiarly ye hwe ne say you formally write to the Lands Commission because over yen constitution I think 2581 no
okay
oba I think A over A na Lands Commission efekua you manage government lands no on behalf of the government itself.
Lands Commission any adwumayuku a ban na yi ne se onsase
so man so all now interest you write formally to the office then we start the process of acquisition from there.
Okay. Let's say so o koto asase na se obi ka kire o se we ya aban asase na wankasa wo ye nhwehwemu na hu se ya aban asase a eni kwan se okọ obi ya ho
just our balance
also balance commission na wo no mukodin enkita ho na chese enchi se ye bia e wo ho no wo mo nso ene wo ahwe na maka ho asem na mesa mabisa am say last month obi frame na o say na sorry a owo mu o ha o ma be serving a letter students for ba be serving a letter say ontua bibi a friend ground rent na ontia se isan say ono no otua ntokuya to wada roma ubetimi an kire ground rent said the city e dey nti na wo say etua ground rent impo.
Okay, where there yeah that's a pa I think one of the most kind of confused topic in our region. Yeah, Krumwa. You share ground rent and our property rates. Yeah, na imprempi, you know, confusion the name differences. No property rates in here too. Yeah, na normally assemblies in a edge.
Okay.
And normally that is where it goes. Assemblies in a normally edge. Now ground rent, no, you can't ground rent. A ground rent annual fee. Wow, what say asase no? Uchiyama asase rano.
Okay.
Basically, we may buy literal meaning, no. That is the meaning of the ground rent. Obi a ote asase so bi o ye leaseholder bia no has to pay that rent to the landowner. And the annual fee, even though subject to increment or subject to change. That is basically the ground rent. Send your to be at and also your constitution, I think Article 174 or so, as a must for you to pay your taxes. And a part of the covenants, or section 50-51 of the Lands Act 2020 now, a part of covenants, and as a near a bought a year tenant and then a landlord, so dear dying, so say was a year. So it's part of yen covenants no. Inti ground rent is very, very important. So we be as so or a leaseholder or lease pa so on rent.
Okay.
No, or so.
And then crapa, a be more dear to say, Obo, a yan and pimpin, to do an name, and a be more so how woman, Nayana Bunu, Mobu, when you go. Dodo announce of Cassie. Just say, as a Oma also Mojano, I just saw more back, Ebeji, and Sacra no multimedia. Okay, now, maybe, sir, say, you who say it was two lands, near what state lands, and invested lands. No. Hemfa na ewo se etua sa ground rent yi ekọ ba bia minim se de meka no ntia se o ma sa ensase emiensen hemfa na ewo se metua kọ se me two land a hemfa na ewo se mekotua me ground rent na se me state me was state land na mete so a na se vested land a hemfa na ewo se mekọ na mekotua me ground rent.
A very, very necessary, important question, Pano Yabusano. No crane say a background rent na send midi kind state two lands. Ye share Ghana Mranimua. There is a state institution, a friend or office of the administrator of two lands.
Okay.
A ho anna ye share specifically ground rent a cost tools in a honomono.
Okay.
Specifically. A hona payments no echo.
Nature say what take customary land swap. The ye ahemfo no nsase
ya when you allocation note for hene ho ya lease amawa when your registration area wukra document.
Okay.
Those payments nyina was say echo office of the administrator of stool lands.
Okay.
By about state lands, no, and even the vested lands, now, payment of ground rent, and specifically, yeah, well, for could be a lands commissioner, a friend of public vested land
Adventist World Radio, 97.7 FM.
Emma on behalf of the government, yeah, J on behalf of the government.
Okay.
That is the difference. And only in Chichemu ayana ewo honom no. Yeah.
Okay. Nature say what vested land so, and I say what state land so a was say we call lands commission.
Lands commission.
A was a ground rent.
Yeah. But what was two lands there? Was two land be na customary land be na artiswa. Ebi also utria na fibia yeah office of the administrator of stool lands.
Okay.
No cre we the mayor promo amom kakra oba lands commission your building na they are also with us.
Okay.
Come your sister agency.
Okay.
Nyina Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources. Yeah, nyina yeah the same building. Oba honoma. I believe say your officers now are ready to show you where they are na wakwa akotria o ground. E hu hia say ye betria pa because sometimes send make kind covenant no. Niam bi won mo wo say would so as a tenant. Where section 51 menim say kwan kakra wo ho no mo nanka
kwan wo ho obetimi aka se de be ya ye botae ne say ye be kyerɛkyerɛ omanfo na mo mahu se Ghana ha se bi emra wa ha a che say de mra no nso di ye adwuma e be boa ye nyina na ntiase aba
me da se pa nti o say section 51 at 1036 no land at 2020 section 51(1) or say in a conveyance by way of a lease for valuable consideration there are implied the covenants relating to payment of rent.
Okay.
A hono ye hwe no. Land act nanka samra pon na bo ye nyina ye ho bras lands commission no na say land agencies no.
Okay.
What it says here as an obligation for a tenant uti asase so uti asase so as a leaseholder. Uti so one of your first covenant name was a bo modern na udi so a payment of rent.
Okay.
What mean na as a wako hind down. What mean guys are hind down na untia rent.
Untia rent. No cre pa. Let's just say Lands Act 1036 enumu e na just say wa quote sa asem we free a just say e wo say obi biara say wote asase so nko ade a wo say utua wasase to. Ye beda wase Mr. Ransford Sapon ewo anoyie a also odi amaye na ebiem mepema bisa ye fidie ye kwa akiri pa na ebi mu nso ewo amanano a wo mo etie yen na obi nso ede ba se wo amanano woni Ghana ha sei na wato asase na wamo obi ene di anim na wo ye asase no ho enkrata asem nyina ema no enti na wo bisa se akonya da ho se obi betimi adi anim na waye na asase ho nkrata ama no wono no woni Ghana ha no do onipa no no ankasa na oto asase no ni din na da so nenso eba bibia document se wo sign bibia nipa no a wodi anim they can say the third party no obetimi asensan nkrata asem na
97.7
na ehunso ehunso sanso etisen
we dey beda sepa me pese me de Tutu asemi ho I say me wo bank check na mako bank na makase me ya mabie my accounts me ni ho obi na enkoyi scam ma me na man san ya chi.
Okay.
E be possible say nipa ni be yi scam no.
Enye possible.
So one of the things I normally advise in is when it comes to land transaction, una oye beneficiary, direct beneficiary no. When it comes to signing of these documents, I was a wow we follow up. Uniha. But you can, even though there's an agent who can go on to work on your behalf.
Okay.
Agent can be a family relative, can be a friend or anything. But when it comes to signing of these documents, it will be a lease. Why a lease? Yeah, so owner of the property was signing. Now a true signature now was being signed on your behalf. How would you claim ownership if there's an issue to resolve? Very, very complex. Normally, in Oba Lands Commissioner, our standard procedure and is when the leases are done, it was a owner transfer rights now. You should be the person to sign. You have a witness as well. Okay. But now, wherever you are, it was on our pending your signature on the document.
Okay. So
that going forward, BBC, you can as well append that same signature on it because even though legal or there are lots of case laws like I said, two signatures are not the same, though, but her similarity you say, oh, this signature obviously was signed by so and so. So even though someone can lead the registration process for you, but the most important thing is beyond was a warner owner na toward and was all bomodin akwenya bi na upenia penny for so you need to make room for those kind of things.
Okay. Na eba say bia nipa no enni Ghana ha sei na opese o still na obi di anim na ya mostly and I say normally they all mutimi ye na say o mutimi kra de fa DHL
eko abroche
normally wa ko sign it be o say o sign bia wi na wa san de ama DHL na o ma san e de abana process no etimi atwaso from there. And I say obetimi nso aye bibia fe no power of attorney obetimi ama obetimi aman aye tumi krata bi ama nipa ne se ono na wondi wanim and I say wondi akagina mu ama on your behalf na bibia esese wo se wo ye no wonye ma na emboa megidi se ye biye ni se nso a ebeboa se de be ya manfo nsa ase ne akina bi watimi wakame na afi u babe lucy wasase nti yebeda wase pa senior na
Adventist World Radio 97.7 FM
dodo na ya na akwansidi a emma wo ma se o ba ebe register o nsase pa emre dodo a ebeteki ene sika dodo a o betua na se sika o betua nti me bisa se o pese wo hye wo registration process ase a ebetime di emre anase emre dodo ahen ansa na wa hye ase na watimi awie ama.
Okay, me da se pa before me ko enoso no ye hwe yen Kumasi krodua mu a ye ba yen sase registration processes na one of the important things I was say yenyina ye note and say when it comes to Ashanti region Hanoma, the preparation of the lease is done by Otumfo Land Secretariat.
Okay.
I'm on a board document. So after the allocation note, be our balance commission or an allocation note, your director also commercial, you submit the allocation note there, file is opened. You be a file we are, then the process starts. Sure. If you will drink money, then they are bought lease documents now. Until lease document if free, mention a Honor Lands Commission, so register the legal interest in the property. You register the actual legal interest in the land amount.
Okay.
Now ubusa emre dodo send ebedi. In fact, Lands Commission emre
Adventist World Radio 97.7
try
FM
to improve on our services going forward. Today be obibeka say be the me kokra ebedi 2 years na me register we ebedi 3 years na me we. In fact, that is not the case when you start your land registration. Now, your bomodin say at the Lands Commission within the shortest possible time. Your registration process via your undertaking biano will go through at the Lands Commission. Ebimo say na your Jimmy Sky and not a man crofobia cry and register one sase because on our dream on himself or mekoi kwa charge Jimmy Sikabi onya na se bibisa. But no crane say the Institution Lands Commission is there for the public. A public entity a juma for the satisfaction of our clients. Inti no crane say Oba Lands Commissioner general is backed by the law. Your fees and charges at Ohonomwa a back yen charges are and I'm sure say no tax is a burden.
Okay.
Taxation and near burden, so to speak. But charges is in a way say a moderately affordable obia obe work into the Lands Commission building to register a property biano have that particular room obenya akwenya no to register the property. Enti yen charges nenya exorbitant, so to speak. A moderately affordable there boy in public no, so that at least
Adventist World Radio 97.7 FM
property on our acquire.
Okay. Nature say which the ma yen shada ni ebo bi se obitimi kra afre bisa se me wo masase bi da ha se me ka se me register ha
ka sign na mebo
a relative
a
just say yen shada ni bo And I say, enema bebree ene
kekabo ansana ye hu
ansana ye hu
the exact fee we be tria at one particular
time. Say location baby a wote and I say baby asase no land use
go into it.
Ni nyina asase ne kese ni nyina go into it and obu okro be start registration process no na ehun akohia say even ni dimpo a ɛwɔ ne Ghana card
so any actual name or tron ye different way
different no na wasa wo san akoye okoso affidavit ni nyina na
ema process need
delay na ɛka no nso
so but no you have to come with relevant and you can say accurate documents.
Sure.
So any delay with processes no. You have to come with relevant and I say documents, proper documentations. Because obana oba registrations in micro site plan pay.
Site plan so enye said the yanka say yesua hu afidie so no site plan
ye registrable documents so to speak. It should accompany something. It needs to be accompanied with something, an allocation note. So your registration. Ultimate for site plan and balance commission. Now
Adventist World Radio 97.7 FM.
Because site plan itself does not even confer interest.
Okay.
And mawonya can say to me wo bibi so
assassin
so to speak. Yeah. It needs to accompany an allocation note. It I know a part of the reasons why I feel ye penny for there to say yemwa na yen church because na me no be din common here kase. Majority of people cry allocation note, but omonyo imagine said they are even going to register. Because so to speak, maybe me allocation note and I doing in this allocation note cram and quad assassin or me.
Assassin media or allocation note.
Allocation note starting point to owning the land.
Sure.
You start from somewhere. It's a allocation note in a crowd. You need to tender in the allocation note. Now you started the process of registration. More documents are any friendly lease documents and answer the title or deed.
Okay. Yebeda was senior Ransford say afi na wode wafidie na to ha aha the landed property clinic edwumedie so ewo Adventist World Radio 97.7 FM na me di dwumedie hu chia me dia ene Daniel Frempon na ene me wo lands officer anaze land administrative officer ewo lands commission land valuation division Senior Ransford Sapon
Adventist World Radio 97.7 FM
meneno twetwe nkombo na ebremu wobetimi nso abejoin ni dwumadie no betima join in live ewo Facebook obetima share live ewo Facebook Awr Kumasi na YouTube nso obetimi nso ababeka yen ho Awr Kumasi 97.7 FM na afi nso aba Fontentan no so wokoso a na wabo ahim awrkumasi.com na wa download the app na chese wabeka dwumadie no hama bibia nso aye kama na wobetimi nso de wasembisa no ebra yebebie ahoma na tum no yebeje ensembisa na afi nso ene mo adwenche na mo nso maba beka dwumadie no ho na yebesa awura dwumadie no mu na yebisa nsem miensa bi said ye di kama mat lands commission o ma di kama mat ase nse wo ba na wo ba be ye registration a ye nhyeda hu sika poten a wo betua. There's no a fixed fee because enema bebre na keka bomu a ema ye hu ebo no enti no wo de bra wo ba na se o mo hwehwe won krata mu a o mo betimi ehu kwan a obefa so aboa o na afi nso emre tenten no depende said ya can a relative enti no memma eno no emmo hu to anamo ne lands commission na won so ko na won saase ehu dwumadie nyina nso won so fako ene fako dan wo mo
Adventist World Radio 97.7 FM
se meye hu asase bi ana se ewo real estate agency ebimu ana se on se ye wo estate companies ni bebre ho a omoji asase yantam eto ho na wo mo twitwa eton ibu okra wo musi edan no na omo tonton enti se mehu saa edan bi ewo real estate agency bi ana se company bi ho na se mekoto saa asase na na se dan na enkrata ben pa na wo se mehwe anim na omo de ma me ene se mekoto asase every wo hene ho no eno no eye pe ana say enkrata be na menhwe ni mesan say no no nkofo pi eta ye mfonso wo ho pa wadaroma enchiremu bi wo ho a obetimi di amaye e wo ho a.
Okay, me da sepa. I think say normally no your difficulty when it comes to that transaction per se say we confuse ourselves with the ownership. You can't land ownership now.
Okay.
First of all, oba yasanti mamuha. Oto asasia. What you need to have in hand are allocation notes. That is if a stool lander. One thing very important ne cardinal also one second.
Okay.
Oto asase at the fresh start. Oto asase you need an
Adventist World Radio 97.7
allocation note does not come alone.
FM.
It comes along with some binding contract and as a rules be a yana him for no yen nominal asset for us to follow. And I am is a covenant na bia or my setting. It is in a situation where water asase one of the key cardinal things was every buyer will be a auto asase bia was all a due diligence.
Okay.
You need to know the ownership of the property. Or say was sitting in the fact say ade me to e wan dia asimesi obentin ben din edaso. And one of the challenges na confronting in a lot at the Lands Commission. Obi timiba or simakoto asase na o ma oden was wa ma me krata bia. Then odema odimidru an ochrem asase ni na me twa pictures.
Ka say mo receipt.
Ye mo receipt nti wa ma me receipt nko ade. JK Enterprise ama me receipt nko ade asase na mato. But one of the things that was saying nyina me pese etie for shan so ne say ukoto asase wo biara wa bo modern say obe conduct search.
Okay.
Balance Commissioner yen krabata na say yenua emma ye wo Obatan Lands Commission Balance Commissioner ye wo PVLM dia na say Public Vested Land Management ye wo Survey Mapping Division ye wo LRD ye Land Registry Division ye wo Land Valuation Division Survey Mapping Division honom na na say even ukra GPS coordinates kra ye wo licensed surveyors who they will guide you through the process of ascertaining the ownership of that particular property.
Okay.
They have processes on bit me do go through
Adventist
ascertain
World
the actual
Radio
ownership of the property before acquisition.
97.7 FM.
To pre-open control check mo be some matter asase. You need to do due diligence. You go through the channel of inquiring to know the ownership of that property and son will go about even handing over money. Obi okra was my 70%. My money pani 70%. My money pani 70% into no. I feel maybe search. Now bana enye ne dia obey ne
Let us say usika no ashe.
Enti o to asas even from a real estate agent o makoje large tracts of land. Ewo asante mantemu hankwa na wo to the first thing you need to do is to acquire a site plan and call for you can say a search to be done. You can search uhwehwem ehu the ownership, the trace of transactions war property. So say na wo to unya issues with you can say acquisition no.
Okay.
Basically.
Okay, ye beda wase. Na mesa mebisa ebi mu confuse title registration with deed registration. Sa enemy no title registration any deed registration no. Wadaroma ensonso ye be ne dantem.
Okay. Question we say DHIM sorry in free hand because one of the guys a few topics I had that most people are confused with. You can't title registration.
Adventist World Radio 97.7
a situation where you can say
FM.
who own the property now will have the right to use that particular property, occupy the you can say property and so. And you can't deed in you're transferring the ownership from one person to another.
Okay.
You having that title, you transfer ownership no. You can say a document that shows that an ownership has been transferred to you.
Okay.
By mentioning so, in Kromuha, eba yensa asesemu a asase no for a specific period of time. Obia owo asase bia wo yemantemu ha na ye kromu ayeman mu ha no for a specific period of time. A residential property 99 years.
Okay.
A commercial property 50 years. Iti yenhu sa differences no. Na oba oto asase na okoto for commercial purpose. Oto say o de see stores. Actually bi wadwan asesa na so de ko si dan. It was all making sure say o ko lose pa land use and special planning authority wo.
Okay.
No omo kire esesa the land use of that particular area now. They also have their own process. So basically, that's the difference between title. No, title, owning the property and having the rights to use or occupy it. That is the title. But you can't deed registration and as a deed and casa deed near the you can say the legal and the transfer of that ownership to one person. You transfer ownership from one person to another.
Okay.
It's a transfer of ownership no Awr Kumasi for some specific time. Ownership no can revert back to the actual owners of the land and as their their title holders no. And so after the period of occupation 99 years or 50 years no.
Okay. Okay, yeah, but that was it. Now, let's just say which the deed no any title no so yeah. Okay. And you know, ni be more cry ka say yeah title areas. Na I don't know what I want bit match them ye. Actually, title area ka say title areas are any sign because I am anti-ase no ain't said any ho. So we can register was as a higher title area. Sebi NTDA. So, and senior title area and so on, and any oh, what I remember, wait me actually more hammer, minimum amount for yenya and tiasia.
So, that is the difference between title and then deed. Nibium.
Okay.
So, maybe a title area. Oba, ya sentimentum, gradually we are moving towards that particular stage of giving title to certain areas. It's near all the areas now.
Title
for now.
Okay.
A process we've started kakra. Unlike maybe Accra, Okwa, most of the areas are title areas. Inti enone there was a yeshanen so.
Adventist World Radio 97.7 FM.
Na ewo nchiremu a wode amaye na ebremu ye behwe na ye bi ahoma na tum se ye bre na ekọ tete be ya omanfo nso ebetimi abeka dwumadie no ho bremu betimi afre na wonso wadwenkyere bi a wo no obetimi di aba na wasembise bi a wo no wonso obetimi di aba 0541012923 obetimi afre na chese wonso aba abeka dwumadie no ho 0541012923 na wonso chese aba abeka dwumadie no ho na ebremu dwumadi a wasongusu a wutie afi na wode wafidie na to ha the landed property clinic dwumadi a chese afi na aba mframa mu kra ye nisuade hunu nyina ne sanase ye botaye ne se ye to nsa afre wona wo asase hu nimdie ebiti se lands officers, surveyors, lawyers, quantity surveyors obi bia oye adwuma ewo asase ho no se dan mpo na wusia baby construction managers womu nyina yetonsa efre womo edeba afidie so na womo nso ye na womo bedi nkomo mo kyerɛkyerɛ se de be ya enada ne kwati kwan a kyese aba yen ensase ho no se de be ya eno nso eso ebete na ebremu yenya ofrefo baako enso ewo afidie no so a kyese yenen betwentwem enkomo. Hello
Adventist World Radio 97.7 FM.
Hello
good evening.
Hello ebachara se na homa no entimi entom ntino wadaroma sanfre biem na yebeto ankomo twetwe no so na Senior Ransford mebisa se me hu asase bi na manage ho na me pese me koto a eden na ewo se me kwa asase no so a menhwe ewo so ana se ensenchani be na menhwe no asase no so a ebe me hu asase we de o se me to aso na me to wadaro ma enchirimu kakra wo ho
Medasepa nti ansa na obia beto asase no we de mesrese tifo nhwe nso se ansa na obeto asase na obeyi sika se wutua asase bi kan o se ye nyina ye bomoden na ye hwe se asase no wura ene hwan eno na edi medi kan kasa ed make bibi for due diligence o to asase bi o se o bomoden na o conduct a set to know the ownership oba Latin mu ayewo word be e kan nimo that
wadaroma gina so am se ofrefo ba akwa ba so
Hello.
Hello.
Of good evening.
Good evening.
Adventist World Radio 97.7 FM.
Okay.
Now, you're showing class now. Your committee members are him for now more mutumia or mutumi a dear limuton assassin.
Which committee members?
I'm crossing a hosa. Na wokona upebia. Receipt the Bemano, be anywhere assassin who receive. And for yes, when young swa. When you know to me through another assembly to me, no, and you never so. Ubashana was assassin. Who for now, wow, or mamma receipt be a far better. Na who and Sankaya Bay, they be me. Nekoya say, oh, and yet genuine receipt. Man yan for no, for about not by mamma and a caqua and see a dimension. If you're not, I know, a bayan a day.
Okay, you better was na yeah you are no. So the answer from M4 Hello.
Hello, Pastor. Good evening.
Good evening. Wadaroma, you would any baby or casa free.
Pastor Fanny, Diana, and you quasi.
Wadaroma manenko.
The same for you.
Okay.
Pastor, me first time meeting of Mania. Now, me Pacho.
Adventist World Radio 97.7 FM.
Land war, and young quanta bonnet. Now, land another one for so many years. Now, my book come was cat. It is where is land in the whole world. For land in the sunny dear. They call land in the one. Or will my company for any my land in the society. Land in the near dear. Or dear land.
Which more asase eda ho a munye so hwe na enam se
me na ba na to asase said that in ma ne na nam be.
Okay.
Onu wa wu for so many years, 16 17 years. Enti anda ka telephone nyina kom so be koso no. Omo go so ye adwuma na papa na de enkofa ba. Langard fa ba be pamo mi nyina esi se land ni nyomo dia. Onu so ye busuafo ni bia that onya ma me side ma ba nti because so we scan nti ye de kwa himfi a omo se ye de tia ka se so de kwa ha se de tia scan nti na me de pa se me hu na sa program nti na ma me frɛ mo se mo bi ho pa se wa ye ya sa se na waje na mbetumi aboya bia ka mani be je pa.
Okay, ye beda wase so frɛ ye no ebedi nkomo ewachi. Na yam for. Hello.
Good evening, boss.
Good evening, Papa. Memo akwaba.
Yeah, you're from Kwame Nkrumah, because everyone talk of.
Okay, Kwame Nkrumah. Yeah, manenko.
My vision is Uko group member as a Zibo and a group of Bushian and a Tonta. Normally, I call him one of my location. And that's what to say. A Bushiana Tom. Normally, I call. Now, I'm not a present. Come on, no, my location. And that's why, yeah, I can't be done.
Okay, you better was say, you be you are no, so same way home. Why? Okay. Nti senior, wadaroma yentwa yonko twetwe no so.
Okay. Me da sepa. Nti na me kasa no busa asem bi se ukoto asase den na wo se ohwe n'anim kwan anza na wato asase no. Nukra ne se obi aniwa oni bibi ni enni no a obetime de ama. Latin we friend ni mo that code a bit. Uni bibi a you can't give what you don't have. Eti ukoto asase afro bi wo so wo modern say se ne me dey kan you need to conduct a search on the land. A part of the aspect of due diligence. Also, who conduct a search on the land, who balance commission, who cross site plan, cradebra. Your licensed surveyors or well trained, equipped surveyors who no more call land or picket data, no more beba officer bear search, no more boam nipa. Assassin any day, a crown, sacran or so with the transaction. In the honene, a debacco was say, ye shen so na ye. Now, offer for Bako Frey, Obisa say, baby or war, tons as be committee members and money receipts in a enu nti wa hwere ne nsa ase mienu ana anyesa
za
ade ba ko wo se ye hwere nso ne se oba ya santima mu ha ade ba ko wo se nyina ye hu na ye hwe ne yie pa ne se allocation note ne here
okay
de dikan ana afi so e wo se stew akonya bi ana ehwe nsase ne so
nsase kro ne so
na no ye nche bia emra na ye kan say judicial service or the judiciary arm of government need the 150th anniversary e wo KNUST
okay
ye ra ye de otikoko so Otumfo ababio e kan asem bi e wo menhia
okay
asem o kan ne say wo ba ye man mu ha asanteman mu ha ye ni bibi e friend family lands
na chese ya sante mamu ha no
ye ni bibi e friend
family lands se said ye wo konkran ya
wo konkran ye wo family lands so ebusuan penity media asase ma we ti media asase ma na ye ni bibi na even crowd hwe ye nmrapon ni mu a things like freehold interest na ade ni nyina no looks like your constitution or provisions
wadaro ma mensanfa ahoma na ntudwa sede be ya manfo nso betimi afre 0541 012923 0541 012923 ubetimi afre na wonso abeka dwumadie no ho ubetimi nso afre voda line no 0203 527777 7 na itwato no eye enan 0203 527777 anase 0203 540000 na wonso abeka dwumadie no ho ebrem yenye ofrefo ba ko ahoma no so ma yemfa na chese yene ne entwetwe nkomo hello mema wakwaba edeba the landed property clinic dwumadie so wadaro ma bidini baby akasa free
me kasa me dindi mensa akosa
okay
but me kasa free Kumasi atonsu bukro lasto
okay mbacho manenko
mpacho ebia menena ewo land bi o nse ebusuane dosu na mien kwa na menim sei ye de be call land office na me ko kan omo nti ate no ekire no haide de
wadaro ma sansi subiem
ebia mebusia ewo land wo na ye dos ebusuane dosu na me nkwa na menu say bia me de be call land office ne ya koye ni paper na bia but ebusuane se da bi enu chiro me ebusa say
okay wadaro ma ye be you asem na no ye da wase se ofre ye for foforo okay ofrefo bia ma enti senior wadaro ma ye nto ye nkomo twetwe no so
eti mesre ofre I was unit committee members na mani receipts ono a owie eche no se o kan se mbi pa o se amani problems or hini for aba onya issue can we those are some of the issues we are encountering and that means your acquisition process bi auto asase bi e was say wo bomode na wo konni papon na asase no ehye na se a ono ehwe so no ebia ne say yenua ikan he call unit committee or the receipt no ko e ohine for buy no say that receipt is valid
okay
one challenge e create wo hono eti o ye acquisition period bi was say process bi was say the requisite person also ko hu ne nipa asase no wo no enye obi o wo nchen
okay
sometimes we have problems when we are dealing with people instead of going to the right source pay agency matters go for agent we so na kwese na create challenges be bra mine nti mesre menua ne say
okay ofrefo ba ko aba afidie no so yemfa no hello Bacho udini baby akase free good evening
Bacho mkase free jiso
okay wada mama nenko
mi kemu program no very nika na matese mahu letters bi se ote asase so a wudi be 70 years ya untia property rate
wahu letter bi a nenam framam se wahu enkrata bi nenam framam se wote asase so a
property rate no wudi 70 years ya untia no kure
okay
me bacho betre advert no advantage radio amoye no mpate mane nkofom na de stoto komo na yedie no mo advert na nkofom kakraman.
Okay, sure.
Advert na ya moye no mane nkofom kakraman ni yedie no edika.
Okay. Sure. That's a part. Ye be you asem na no. Wadaroma. That's a software. Okay. But you enter also.
It's immense say when we are dealing with process of acquisition na need more message say the right source. Stools no na custodians. I was say bo model na ho ekoje documentations. Earliest documentations. No be so ka say na family land bi wanwea kwanta wanya issue kakra sikani bi aba beje the one man tem de na ho den.
Ono nso ye busuani na emumenam say ono no ho odin ti. Onka say owo sikanti wa fa chire akwa develop land no.
But me say can do baby say or call hene no no hene de amano. And we are one of the challenges I face when it comes to these acquisition period, family issues, no. Now it creates a lot of tensions amongst family, no. I think that this, I would advise so so mo cost too ne ho ye adwo muska no masa akoni adwo muska ne honom no. The major is is within the remit of the stools, so they should find yenanam buama yen sas semono nkankan busua munsas semono yemwa na sani emfa wenchi bia ma
sani pi wo ho a ya na eyenti ase na enya adwuma wo ho no nipa na se family no ntem because ebo wo ho a abusua mienu na anase abusua ni mu na nkasa no se japa e mu nyina mo japa de nanso e wo se mo ti mo ho ase na munya nhyehyeye se ye empanimfo anim kra na wo se mo de kwa momfa nko na omunhwe no munsiesi esanse ya na court sembebre no efe bibi alternative dispute resolution say ye tenase fie na ye ka bisusu senka sa we nyina no nka etu betwa
ena obi so busa o say oto asase ebusuani di wanim ko ohene no ho na yamo allocation note. That is a perfect deal.
Ono no chiremu se abusua no ena eton ma omu giska no na omu akọ ohene ne ho allocation.
Say authentic allocation then there's only problem.
Sir.
That's the most important. Okay. Say ebusuani because no krene say insase no akonya bia wo ebusuam. Akonya bia ye kan stool bia wo ebusuam. So if the stool is in the family, next a family no lead you to go to the stool to purchase her. I think that is in the right direction, so to speak. Inti mesre say that transaction em say na ipani busa say that transaction na valid. They are valid so long as ebusuan stool no ewo ebusuan ni mu nkwa na wo hwe na ye hwe echire na ye hwe na bibia da ne kwan so a it doesn't create any problems over there.
The yana omanfo no enche dante ase ne say ye free bibi usufruct interest say wo firi kroma na say wo ye kromani a abusua bi e firi wo krobia mu no eya na omo wonsase omo na omo wonsa na mo mansase na ye say eye omo de eye oman ne dia anas akonwa ne dia na ohene ne hweso na saa ansase ne mpo no eye abusua ena eya na etetete so anase omodo omodo so edidi so na last week am say surveyor eniam make very good point wo ho pa no okirem no bibisa question bi say wasase wo ho anase abusua asase na se tukura eden na obeye surveyor ma enya nante se asase tukura eye ohene ene aban mu mpanyimfo luspa land use for no
and how to
planning for
develop the area
layout ye bibia wie ma omo edina na afei ohene na hyase ayede atete to ohene ne tete a abusua kro na na mote saasase ne so na se modo didi so no
ye mama portion on fan or outright
sa ohene ne mfa ni nyina enti eto da bia na abusua ne bebre wo ho a omo mpene se omasase omo no omasase no na atukuro na wase ohene na watete
ohene ne tete ne de keka te no na wo se ye hwe na ye ma yete for ete ase ye pa nti owo large tract of land be ewo akire na atukura ye bɔ modern says any ye ka no ɔhene no ene abamu mpanimfo luspa ɛbɔ modern na ye twitwa na ye hyehye ne yie na ye hu sɛ ha ye de ha be hospital ye de we be sɛ ye wi a the stool name funny nyina outright senior so we am yet as the last time stool name fun outright name or modern say ebusua na ho akoka with this particular transaction ye mamo e fa bi a at least e believe more better off and you worse off nti ye nhwe ne nso sa
okay me da wase na ye mfra ofrafo nso hello oh wanti me nyina so wadaroma yentoa yenkomo twetwe no so na obi nso ebisa se wunya mfie eduoson 70 years ekwa eya na property rate no ye yi ofrim chese wo no wontua bi wadaroma eno nso ho asem tesen
property rate to assemblies
neje no
and they mention that ho abakwasem
se wunya 70 years
Nkrata ne nam.
Was nkrata ne nam. Aha, sa no kan.
Me hu nkrata bi asa nti. Very difficult I will speak to it.
Yeah. Okay. Yebe sanso afje afrefo 0541 012923 0541 012923 onso betimi afre na abremu waba beka dwumadie no ho na kyese de how efa won saase ho anase bibibia wonti ase efa wasase ho no wo de bedan the landed property clinic lands commission officials enso ewo hase ya wo mo ani edi nkomo kyerkyere ensemu se de be ya menu mienu nso ye benya ho nti ase na asase ho manso bebre a kyese atie tesi titurupa ne ya santimemu ha no ebremu eto nso atwa na kyese bibia nso ededa na kwemu na 0541 012923 and as 0203 52777 onso betimi afre na waba beka dwumadie no na Sina Ransford mamin bisa say yenya ofre for hello me pa show mete on kan hello still say wanti me nyina so wadaroma wo betimi asan afre biem 0541 012923 and I said 0203 52777 hello me pa show mete on kan
yeah good evening
Pacho wadaroma wo dini baby akase free okay Mr. Asante wadaroma manenko okay allocation any cadastral
yes please
okay sure with us so free allocation any cadastral wadaroma also person who difference I what sa enkrata ni mienu mu allocation note
okay
any cadastral
me da say you can allocation note say ya boss allocation note ni the initial document or transaction with the stool like the amount. Okay. Normally it comes from the stool allocation note no. It comes from the stool and it comes with a site plan. And it comes with certain covenants. In Mrebia stool na share say also would do so within a stipulated time.
Okay.
Of holding that allocation.
Okay.
It's a allocation note in the initial document or your registration or the starting.
This is I don't know the amount.
Allocation note. That's the allocation note. You can allocation as brofo nankasa can the portion where the amount. It's as we the money allocation no. But you can cadastral plan. A cadastral plan a certified plan.
Wadaroma I am say my offer for bakwa baso my yen financing. Hello.
Opening Pacho.
Good evening, sir. Wadaroma, we didn't baby akase free akwa banso. Okay, Senior Benjamin. Wadaroma manenko. The pool bisa say you let me register half plot. Okay. Okay, what you know, see, you are some now. Okay, see, what are my mind was?
Application notes in a medical kind of document.
Hello.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, sir. Akwaba. But you didn't baby a casa free.
Your friend,
so free ye be you asem na no senior wadaroma yen to ayen komodidi no yen komotwetwe no so.
Okay, medase iti ye ka allocation note allocation note formal document S2 edema buyer so auto property you can say asase every omo no allocation note. Inti it comes with you can say a covenant. Maybe I share was a would so to the Biomam Rempo was would develop a property no near me was all any coins over the state it is about 4 or 5 rules bayana or asset by a cadastral planner. Cadastral plan is certified planner. A year you can say you can surveyor a year licensed surveyor from the survey mapping division of the Lands Commission.
Okay.
As certified and answer was stamp peso. And we a certified plan.
That's no crampo there. Yeah, na regional
surveyor nankasa embossment. Also, say no omo komani ye de barcodes nyina mpokra keka ka ho. It's a no demo. That is the site planner ye de registration when it comes to leases na. Only cadastral plan very difficult for you to go on with registration of.
Nature say oh site planner won't mean fan start registration.
You need a cadastral plan.
I was say balance commission. Now mapping survey mapping division.
Now omo ye cadastral plan.
Survey say ma ko asase no so di mfidie. Eko pick coordinate no mo be yes cadastral na ma na regional surveyor ono so assign it. Nature say edim. My young for foforo. Hello. Hello.
Yeah, mpacho mikase free abutuja.
Mpacho udi.
Frame Hayford.
Okay.
The program is
Wadaroma sansi subiem. Okay. Okay, yeah, that's a so free. We know free chat war. I'm say ye breno ye be nti no ensem bisa aba no ye behwe na ye yakasa ho ansa na ye breno aso. Senior, wadaro ma ye nto ayen komotwetwe no so.
Plan send ye dey kan no. Regional surveyor boss so kama ye fa enimdifo and access surveyors, well trained licensed surveyors from the survey mapping division of the Lands Commission echo assassin so called PK information also ba ebe site plan and as a plan mawa that plan na regional surveyor stamp person on your friend no cadastral plan. So that's the major difference between the two. No be so ebusa issues about say you bet me I register half plots. Half plot is only registered if you are subdivided among specific plot numbers.
Okay. Nature say wadaro machiremu ye half plot no. We say o famra kwan so ama ye chemu
na ye man specific plot numbers. But
yate na himfo na omodi say adwuma no. Dia me wo full plot wo mbese me chem na be half plot a himfa na wo say me di kan akọ. Na omotimi di say adwuma na ma say de be bedimu because obu okra ono ankasa omo ankasa de eyi obu akosisi ntome ana so ohye da koto wo na odi asi owi else no ano no machem wada remember mu na te san kyeremu ye kakramai
eti adeba ko was ye hye so ne say e was parent plot no say bia ye plot A it was a go through official planning scheme I was a planning no na ye wia ya ma license surveyors na ba abe create the you can say site plans for the two dividing the two no then was a hye so pan ye so it's not as if say half plots cannot be registered but it can only be registered if subdividing yam allocated a specific plot number for it.
Okay. In this case, no one say parent plot no one allocation note any de nipa na de man no. Inti say or ton half plot ama obi a the same allocation na no obehia ade akoy registration na say ono kwan ben no so be fa so a ono so benya na allocation a ne din be wo so for that particular half plot no.
So issuance of allocation you fall back to the stool. You don't even do it on your own kind of evolution and as a one gaza will. You fall back to this too. My top plot 0.4.
Okay.
Yeah, the man is 0.4.
Okay.
That same plot in Mechemutu. Uchemutu, who gave you that plot? Is this two.
Okay.
So you go back to this two.
Okay.
Then Nanakasa. Oh, Nana say this. I believe that Nana no reasonable enough to understand some of these situations. Now more boy import to acquire allocation note for the other party. You fall back to wherever you got that particular interest or allocation note from.
Okay. Nature say ne tintin ni tietie mu nyina ne say wo full plot o pese wo chem na wo de farmer obi ana se nipa no kra ne nsa aka fa na wie no kwan ba fa so register na wo sha ase a wo di kan ko district assembly physical planning office na omo be chem asase no mu ma na omo make changes e wo layout no so enti from there no we are na wako ohene ne ho na wako akogye allocation ohene no be ma mu different allocations it will bear the new say be a plot numbers no say be a first na plot parent plot no na plot 14 ya be chem mienu ama na half plot na bit my 14A
and B
14B na wako hene ne ho na wa mu different allocation for the two fresh allocation crowd for the two a din 14A ne 14B no e wo so say the be ya onso betimi e dia start registration process no okay na obi nso ebisa se na asase se okoto asase na waje asase na to wo mfie nsia nie ama mohene na san
fall back to this
akwa ton asase no oton ye no wansan so amfani sika enso ansan ma no obisa se no so dey no betima ya fa ho
wait a minute sepa one of the things that was etfo nyina hye ne so ne say when it comes to sub transactions na ohene no entimi mfa there are times the chiefs are you can say more cautious enough say even if they want to sell the land again what interest will move first they contact you even by writing
okay
they go on with the next transaction on the property.
Okay.
Mesra say in prempi na ya na ye Tutu say unya je allocation note na the covenant in sheshaya they am in the allocation note no anya hwe na say obon ho modern na udi so senior
allocation note ne de mawa enhihye bi wo
krata no so
no do na yam parking kan
onya ya no de akwhye ne mpaase na otuonom onya no de atukwan obi kwanya ne de na ayera no opa jezi yekotum paase korhwe ebi kura enhu kura eti ye besere se ye koye nanim no nhihye ya ye de ama ono ye momode ne ni so na onya allocation note na we de me de twam menu adani. When your allocation note now, allocation note is a very, very relevant document when it comes to land registration. Okay. But one thing I was say, Mestre said, when your allocation note now, that is not the end. A means to an end.
Allocation note to numpo ya
ashase no na wo shase dia ko baby nti wo hwe asante mantemu a ye woni pa dodo bebre a waton sase wo allocation note but on register sebi se ne make ye kan ye din komo ikan eno na busumi ye si wo lands commission ye si wo se ye ma ye tiefuo nyina enya nente ne sante ase ne titru se unya wa allocation note ye ma wa allocation note en fan ko champasse okay it is offer for be free obusa say when your allocation note or info for buy no masaba say person issue a fresh allocation note emamo
na je say nka wo be register our lands commission
aka you've gone up you can say what chasa process in democrat the dakra ko wani
ehun so be back for one size one crata no say wotam
lease document no akwa say my register masase no I then ewie enti mesre say wo ha wotie ene adwumefan ya mesre wo allocation note lands commission ye wo denyame oba reg school nam kwan no so correct school anase for bien
okay
honoma oba officers mess honoma area hono obuse obia lands commission officer ye do beba ye free adum enka ne no na ebenim ni say ye wadum ti we see ya no we right office ene ye mpenim for ada roma ene asasira ada roma ye opem so ada roma ntino ye wo denyame ntime sere wo ha ema ne nya wani ha kra eni ha no bo sunsanso eni ha ne de bebro no bo eden since we be bana ba bebu sem na ye de wa fa kwan bebre so abetimi abo ama wanya o documentation ntime sere say tie for ye nyina ye nhye ne so sa
okay ye beda wase Mr. Ransford Sapon or administrative officer ewo land valuation division ewo lands commission Kumasi eho ena opanyin kese wo butu a wodi ne dwuma ye beda na se pa wo bra waje acheche nsemu ache me ne matiefo na ye nso yate ye ho ase na ebremu ye bre na ye be sori dwumadie no so ye beda ye tiefo nyina nso ase wona wo fa bre na wo frɛ ama dwumadie no nso wode won ensembisa ene won adwenkyerɛ nyina baaye nso ye beda mase ha the landed property clinic dwumadie ye benada bia wa bra abono nan ede kosi nonum ene fa so ye ba ena ye be kyerɛkyerɛ nsase ensemu ye to nsafrɛ wona wo nimdeɛ ewo nsase mu ene omo ebedi nkomo ma wo kyerɛkyerɛ said the beya me no mienu so ye betimi abo ye japade ho eban ebremu ye be sori dwumadie no so nyame ya adom adase ne ye be sanso ahia enti no take note said the beya bre no so ya na won so wa betina wa fidie no ho media ne Daniel Frempon nyame ya adom adase ne ye be san hia akramo
asase hu asema ya odadwene wo pa asase ato wo besifi ana obi agye asase oni mra ebo ho ban ana mo obi na ada Blvd landed property clinic so bi asase ni adansie hu animdifo Daniel Frempon ye badwafo a akabet kyerɛkyerɛ wo bibiara efa asase ajapade ni adansie hu ye bema wate sene wo beto asase ahobambo wom sene wo beye land registration wa asase no wo de tumi krata bi beto so building permit